we are back. So I did I did an update the other day about quitting and quiet quitting and stuff, and like compiling the file and uploading and everything made me think about something that's been that has stuck with me for the last few days. Like being away from work, like moving away from work because you feel removed from your work, you're regardless of like what kind of job I was in. Like by far most of my jobs have been with people who were quiet quitting, and with bosses, I don't know if they were quiet quitting or if they were just mentally checked out, but like workplaces where like 9 out of 10 of your colleagues are completely uninvested emotionally. So everyone is, everyone is on autopilot, and everyone is phoning it in. Everyone is treating their work, whether it's like IT security or sales or even working, like, working with people, like troubled, vulnerable people, just like I've had a lot of colleagues, and I've worked for a lot of bosses who would phone it in and who would act like I was doing something wrong, when I tried to be better at the job, when I tried to, like just change stuff to save them some money, save us some time or whatever. Uh, nope. But as a rule, we were just, as a rule, we should just do things the way we're used to doing them, because that has worked out fine for as long as it has, right? So you're basically met with a glare whenever you want to change anything, regardless of how small it is. Like you want to change the company's website, or you want to change something in, like the code on like the internal system you're using at your workplace to handle to keep track of customers, whatever it is. Like we're just gonna do what we're used to doing because that has worked out so well so far. And yeah, it's strange. Like you have people who on the one hand are like turning a blind eye to someone, like when cutting corners kind of becomes company policy. It's kind of weird, like it's kind of weird that people look at you like you're a moron if you want to not cut corners. In one place I worked at, there was this dude who called up. He was an inmate, and like my colleagues, my and my supervisor, like they treated it like this dude was like the scum of the earth, because he was an inmate. I have no idea what he was in jail for. Obviously none of my business, but the dude calls me up and he's, polite and whatever, and I could tell he was expecting me to say no, because apparently like they weren't, I don't know, they hadn't been restricted from getting like their own like dial-up connections, but like, so there was no rule against it, but not really for or whatever. And I was like, all right, give me a second. I put him on hold and I asked the supervisor. And like at this point, right, like this is the mid 2010s, I think. no, sorry, the mid 20s, mid 2000s. And our company had just been bought out by a huge other company. We're in Europe. And the company had just been bought by this huge conglomerate, and it was bought from this dude who was basically like one of the biggest, like the biggest, like white collar criminal scumbags. You know, like before the financial crisis, before people like before it was even on people's radar that like just how the biggest gangsters on the entire planet are white collar criminals and stockbrokers. It was kind of wild that everybody in the company was perfectly fine, it seemed, with, the company up until a few months ago was run by a dude who was now in jail for massive, massive fraud. He goes to jail. I don't know if he got a piece of the pie as his, like fraudulently successful company is now being bought up by some, I don't know. I don't know if it was $1 billion company back then. It probably is now, but it was so wild, like there's this dude on the phone. He's expecting me to treat him like a piece of crap. The people in my office sound like he's a piece of crap. And I'm just like the dude, like whatever, I don't even know, I don't know if he's in jail for unpaid parking tickets or something, like I don't know. I don't care and like the one colleague who told me to actually, no, just go through with it because you'll get a signing bonus, you'll get provision for landing the sale. And I was just like, I don't care about the pocket change from the sale. It was the wildest fucking whiplash that this dude can't get online because we as a society have decided that he's the scum of the earth. So like what if he has kids that are learning to read or whatever, like what if he's trying to like send email home and like he can't get in contact with his family. I mean, of course he wasn't in like super hardcore, solitary confinement or anything, but like if it's preventing him from like writing his daughter or getting in touch with his high school sweetheart or who knows, like just like getting online to read the news or to educate himself, like I'm not going to stand in the way of that. uh I can't, like, and everyone was just like, no, I mean you're probably not going to get in trouble if you just, patch it through. um like the technicians might not be allowed into the jail. They might not. So I was like, all right, fine. So I patch it through. I never found out. I had more. I think it went through because more people with like more inmates called up. And it's not that it could have been a coincidence, like they didn't ask for me specifically. But it was kind of funny. Like over the next like month and a half, there was more and more people asking to get hooked up with internet. So like something tells me it went through, and I yeah, it was just no one no one that I spoke to. Like I spoke to dozens and dozens of people in that workplace. No one found it weird that we apparently were kind of supposed to feel, like these dudes were just complete scumbags, completely worthless. And all the while, the dude who started our company is in jail for what was at that point, like a record-breaking white collar crime, that didn't bother any of us, because he wasn't in the company anymore, right? So I guess it doesn't matter what the company is built on. It doesn't matter that everyone still working there, up top were of course involved, but one dude takes the fall, and then that's that. It's all good, and we're not, it was wild, man. It was insane. Some of the higher ups were like some of the higher ups went and stopped by the office once in a now and again. It was kind of interesting to see again. We're supposed to. I was kind of supposed to treat like these dudes who are calling me from a jail where they are probably bored out of their minds, just as I was. I don't know if that's why I felt some sort of kinship with these guys, but it was kind of wild that nobody saw the irony, and then when some of these higher ups were in the building, one of them, when I was like, I had just started, I walked up to one of those guys to introduce myself, and like he looked at me like, like he almost looked afraid, because apparently these dudes in their fancy suits, apparently, you're not supposed to go and talk to them. You're not supposed to touch them, when you are just this filthy peasant in the sales department. And like, and I was like, that, I mean, that has to be a one off, right? But no, like all the other ones, like they couldn't, they looked like they could barely stomach like a polite nod in our direction if one of us said good morning to them or whatever. Me and another guy, it kind of became a game to like be annoyingly cheerful towards those guys when they walk past our offices, just to see like how they would squirm and how like they would go out of their way to avoid eye contact with us. So yeah, after that, I whenever somebody called through and they were like, they had bad credit or they were, calling from a jail or whatever, like I would just instantly just patch that shit through. Like just like at first it was like kind of like a bleeding heart thing, but yeah, like a few months into that, like into my short career there, like I just patched everything through out of spite, like kind of hoping that these dudes would just bail on their bill, like, and just like, yeah, I mean, not that it would really cost the company anyway, but I was, man, that I don't know, that just made me really fucking spiteful that the dude who started the company and like the biggest, like one of the biggest criminals in decades and decades, on our the front page of our news. No, no, we just rebrand. He's a rich guy. That's fine. Boys will be boys or something. Like it was basically treated like it was just a prank, bro. And then we just rebrand the company, change the logo, exact same. I think it was pretty much the same font, same colors, uh, new name, and like the logo was changed a bit, you know. So like it looks like three microphones, or instead of three flowers, or something. Like it was insane. Yeah, I went out of my way to just do shit that cost my, you know, that cost the company money after that. That was, yeah, Yeah. I think the only reason I stayed there the last months was just to do like this like low level petty sabotage. But yeah, that's what that is.